Hey guys, on today's episode of How to Build Everything by Jason, we're going to do some golf clubs. We're going to build your own from scratch here, so we're not going to get into any lengthy detail. I'm not going to talk about lie and swings and all kinds of different things and all the intricate details of building the club, because I mean, you can go all out if you want to. There's a lot of good resources and books out there that can give you all the fine details if you really want to build clubs for professionals or guys that are getting really good at golf. If you're just screwing around with you and your buddies and you really don't want to build or buy a set of clubs off the shelf and you like to build your own stuff, you can build your own clubs that are custom to you, the right length and the right whatever hell you want. Hell, even if you don't know what you're doing, it's funner to build it than it is to just buy it. How about that? That's my motto. If I can't build it, I almost don't want it. So anyway, guys, let's get on to it and show you how to build a club. Alright guys, here's the down dirty how to build a golf club. I'm building a 4-iron today, and so I'm going to build a graphite 4-iron. So there's the head, of course, and it's called the hosel end there, and we've got the ferrule, we've got this new awesome carbon fiber shaft. Well, it's not awesome, it's one of the low end ones, but it's a graphite shaft, and the Golf Pride grip. This other 4-iron's the one that I was using before, and I'm sick of it, frankly, so it's time to get the new one built. So some of the other things you're going to need is sounds funny, but some shafting beads. That creates a cushion with the epoxy between the graphite shaft and the metal hosel there, so you don't want any sharp edges contacting with the end of the shaft there, because that's where you can cause breaks. So we got our 2-part epoxy, and I got the long set stuff because I like it nice and strong. The longer setting seems to be a little bit stronger. You can use 5-minute, but it tends to be a little more brittle. You'll crack your shit and it'll fly off. Possibly. Sometimes you might be just fine with it, but we got some grip solvent and some grip tape, and pretty much these tape strips you can get when you order stuff too. It's pretty much double-sided masking tape, pretty much, and the grip solvent is pretty much odorless mineral spirits, so you can just get a bottle, fill it up, use mineral spirits when you're putting the grips on. So those are the basic components to setting this up. So what I'm going to do next is on the shaft here, the specs for this shaft call for cutting 3 inches off if you want a firm flex. So I don't have the spec sheet to show you right now, but whenever you buy a shaft, that should, if it doesn't come with it, you can be able to look it up online, tell because this one can be a regular flex or a stiff flex, firm flex, basically. It just depends how much you're trimming off the end, and you can actually customize your own. If you go to get your swing speed done and you find out that you're in between, then instead of 1 inch or 2 inches, you can go 1.5 inches if you need if your swing speed is like right on the borderline between, you know, firm and regular or whichever. You can do your own trimming, and that pretty much regulates how stiff your shaft overall is going to be. And then after you get the length right, you know what your particular club length needs to be, then you can trim you do your measurement and then trim this end off of the graphite shaft here before you put the grip on, and that will get you your total length. So right now, being a graphite shaft, you got to use an abrasive style of cutter. You can't use a saw. You might be able to, but it's best to use these. You're going to splinter it out very easily if you don't. And what I've done is wrapped it with some duct tape, some string tape, something stiff. Got a few wraps on there to keep those fibers from splintering out when we make the cut through. So make the mark there. And whenever you buy these grip kits, like a grip replacement kit, you're going to come with. Sometimes it comes with a lot of this stuff. You got this cool little tool that you can you stick in your vise, and it'll hold your shaft nice and tight for you. So we can just go ahead and set this up in the vise and get it ready to cut. And then I got my dust mask here because you definitely don't want to breathe this graphite stuff. And I've got the fan blowing pretty much out direction. That's towards outside the door. So that's what we got. I'm going to go ahead and make this cut and show you the next few steps. Nope, almost forgot my dang safety glasses. Don't let this crap get in my eyes either. Flatten, true up that edge just a touch, and there we go. It's another piece we don't need anymore. So now loosen this up a little bit so I can find the seam. And there we go, nice end, non-splintered. And so what we want to do now is take a little emery cloth, some sandpaper if you will, and round off the tip of this thing. What we're also going to do is sand this so the epoxy takes it pretty well. And on these you need to sand right barely past the paint. And once you start seeing a little bit of black starting to show through the graphite shaft, you need to stop. Don't sand into that graphite, you're going to weaken your shaft. So, but for me to take a measurement of how far I'm going to need to go on this, you make sure you get the right size of if you're using irons, you need to have an iron shaft. It's the right diameters. Same thing with your ferrules. So for me to get a distance here, I'm going to go ahead and stick the ferrule on there and see where this bottoms out. Okay, it's nice and tight there. So there's going to be my distance for my ferrule. And so this is going to wipe off any magic marker you can get off with some Sharpie, but I'm going to use that as my reference just in case it slips while I'm doing the sanding. See, it didn't take much. We're breaking through to the graphite. I got a microfiber cloth here. Grab some of that. Any kind of graphite might be coming off that. I don't want to make it airborne if I don't have to, even though I just pretty much did. Now, if you're going to swing weight your clubs, you're going to buy some special weights specifically for graphite shafts, and they come in different lengths depending how much weight you want to add to it. And you can adjust your swing weight here. You can set it up, put your weights on there, put it on your swing scale, and adjust it so it matches all the rest of your clubs. Now this one, I'm not going to do any additional weighting for it on it. I'm going to just go straight up the way it was. So now we're ready to go. Now we do recommend running a brush through here to clean it all up, make sure we don't have any burrs. Anyhow, so we're going to go ahead and mix some of this up. We're all prepped and ready to go. So I'm going to get the 2-part epoxy. I always put them in separate plastic bags when I'm storing them in a thing in case I get any leaks or anything. So in case you're wondering, these shafting beads, they're basically really fine glass beads. It looks like a powder, but believe me, they're spheres. They're tiny little round spheres, kind of like for would be a really fine bead blasting media as well, but these are just so fine, it's not even funny. But even when you do that, they feel really slippery. So these glass beads will give a nice cushion and allow even distribution of epoxy across the whole surface. So anyway, let's go ahead and we're going to do equal parts of this epoxy. It doesn't really take a lot. I always tend to use way more than I need for some reason. I guess I'm wasteful, or not wasteful, but I don't like my epoxies getting too old. How about that? Because I don't do these as often as I sometimes would like. So after that, that stuff's a little thicker than the other, just need to make sure I've got just a touch more. Not being as accurate as sometimes I'd like to be. The way it sits, looks like I got about equal portions there. So now what I'm going to do is, I know there's some measurements, but to help measurements, we go with just a couple of scoops of it, shafting beads, and then we go ahead and mix all this stuff up. This has got a long set time. Like I said, this is 24-hour epoxy, so we're gonna have to let this thing sit for a full 24 hours before we go trying to put the shaft or the grip on. Because if we try to put the grip on before that, since there's a hole all the way through that shaft, it's going to just push the head of the golf club right off, and nobody wants that. So it's not quite as sticky as I'd like it to be. So I'm going to add just a hair more of these shafted beads. Yeah, it's looking a little lighter. That's about right. There is a proper measurement that they tell you to put on there, but yeah, in my opinion, it ain't that critical. I'm not building tour quality clubs at this point. So anyhow, so here we go. Ready for this. Personally, I like putting just a little bit of epoxy in the bottom of this. Some of this epoxy is going to shoot out, and some of it's going to shoot up the shaft inside, and that'll help anchor it so you ain't gotten your shaft come, or your head come flying off first time you use it in front of all your buddies, and you're embarrassed as shit because you built your own club and then the damn thing flies apart the first time you go to use it. So anyhow, we just give her a liberal coat here. See, like I said, I made way too damn much. I'm used to doing more than one club too, so, but yeah, it is what it is. Anywho, I think I'm gonna get just a little bit more epoxy down here. Alright, we can clean this overage up a little bit later. Oop, a little drip. See, here we go. Alright, so put that on there. Catch some of this leftover junk. I'm messing up my good rag for this. It's alright. Okay, we don't have to hurry since this stuff does take a very long time to set up. But what we want to do now is we want that nice pretty logo of the shaft to be pointed in the right direction when we're holding on to this club, because of course we want to see that pretty logo that they put on there. So basically I just kind of make a mark. You'll be able to see the black on black. So I'm going to gently put this down so the head don't fall off. I'm going to twist that shaft so that I can see it. I'm going to line that sucker up. It don't have to be perfect, but alright guys, after you get the logo lined up the way you want it, it looks pretty good, looks good enough to you, then take your your shaft and just lean it up. I don't want to move that around too much. Lean it up next to something that ain't going to be moving. Nobody else is going to move it. Doorknob is a bad deal, but it's locked. Ain't nobody coming through that thing. Anyway, just come back every 5 minutes or so. Well, shit, if you got this long-term epoxy, probably 10 minutes or so. And just double check make sure your alignment still looks good, and if it hasn't moved on you in good 15-20 minutes and it stays the same, then you're probably good to go. Anyway, just leave it like this for a full 24 hours and till the epoxy's full set up, and then we're going to do our final trimming on the length and install our grip, and we'll be done. See you guys tomorrow. We're the next day now. The epoxy's all cured up on that, and we are ready to go. So I filled up the grip solvent, which, like I said before, is just mineral spirits. We got the tape and we got the new grip. So it's got a little plastic thing on there. Take that off. There we go. We've got the CP2 Pro mid-size going on. Okay, so what we got to do, grip tape is already make sure we're measured, which we are. If you don't, it's on a roll, and make sure you don't put too much tape on there. So anyway, here's the process. Let's get this grip tape on there. So stick this on there as centered as we can. And we want a little bit of overhang on this side, because we're going to push that down in. And wrap to one side first, in case there's any overlap. And we wrap the back side on it. There, now we're on there pretty good. Now we can just take the peel this a little bit. Come on, you sucker. Alright, there we go. There's the first one coming off. Come off a little easier. Okay. Make sure the seam is connected. And we're going to push these a little bit up the top, drop it over the top. Gives a little extra cushion on there. So now be ready for some drippage. So put a thing on the floor there, and we just hose her down with some, spray her down with some solvent. And put your finger on the end. Put a bunch of squirts of solvent down in there. Get a bunch. And just shake it up. Make sure it's all distributed nicely. Should have some extra. Looks like it kind of dried up a little bit on me. Spray just a touch more. And let's see, grip, I want this one for the alignment. Should have done this first. Loosened up. Pivot it, that way I get it close. Spray a little on there. Okay, and then I just push it on. And there we go. Just take that sucker off there. We decide we want that grip moving a little. Check my alignment. I want that sucker to sit. So I need to twist it just a little bit more. Okay. There we have it. So now we're going to need to let the solvent dry. Use usually like waiting at least till the next day, but here you can do it a lot sooner than that. So check it again, and there we go. We're built. Take the plastic off, and I can get the alcohol out and clean my Sharpie marks off. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching.